Good evening and welcome to Enterprise at 8, or as I'd like to say, the series we're no longer doing after tonight. So there you go. Anyway, I'm Jody Simpson, and along with me is my host who's been with us voyage for 2 years and is finally coming into an end tonight, Adam Woodward. Hello, Adam.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I can barely hear him.
So Adam switched to his phone while we were doing the countdown.
Oh, did he?
And it says that your guest is on a Google Chrome or something on his Android phone, which has a headphone issue. So
reboot and come back.
I am.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Anyway, he'll be back with us eventually.
He needs a computer, man.
And of course, who could forget the most awesome of awesomest producers in our 2-year journey has been, of course, Mr. Dave Mater.
I'm here and I'm ready to talk about Enterprise.
It's a sad day, Dave.
So
one less show for you to produce.
One less, but an accomplishment has been achieved.
I think
here.
so. I think so.
So
I think you're right.
It's a good thing.
And of course, who could forget the man who inspired us to even do this at once? Because at one point in time, he said, "Enterprise, what's that? I don't acknowledge that. That's not Star Trek." Mr. Of course, Kevin Millard.
Okay, this show exists. I relent.
We've been waiting 2 years for that. Oh, Adam's back, or maybe. Oh, maybe not.
Maybe
all right.
not.
Well, anyway. So what we decided to do was we're going to do one final goodbye. We're going to talk about our rated 5 worst episodes, as well as our rated 5 best episodes. And we're only going to briefly dabble into them if you want to actually see them. I'm guessing, Dave, you're probably going to put a link to all the things eventually, or maybe
to all of our past episodes,
like just those episodes. Yeah. Can we do that?
Or you mean specifically the 10? I guess we're talking about more specifically tonight. Yeah, I guess we could have done that in the description.
We didn't do that, but check back later and maybe it'll be there.
Sure.
And maybe it won't be. Who knows? We don't. You know what? We're done. We don't care.
So, well, we can tell people what they are, and then
of course we're going to tell people what they
are.
Of
course.
It's our last day. We're not working hard.
Yeah, we're not working hard. This is our last
day here at the Enterprise.
Producer
podcast.
Dave, I've been here 2 years. I don't need to do any more of these damn descriptions. All right.
What was questionality for Kevin from long time viewer Kevin or Sam?
Yeah,
Kevin,
absolutely.
has your opinion changed?
Yeah, it absolutely has. Before, this wasn't a rewatch for me, Sam. This was a first time through. I'd never seen Enterprise beyond the first, say, 3-4 episodes because I hated it so much.
Right.
But it's turned out to be pretty good.
When's the original series retrospective coming? We always meant to do one, and then I got busy with Deep Space Nine, and when we wrapped that podcast years ago, so I don't even know.
Oh, like a top 5.
Like if we got me, you, my dad, and Adam and Karen Rondo back together.
I don't know if we could get all of them back though.
Yeah, so I don't know, but maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Yeah, exactly. So basically, as I said, we're gonna look at the top 5 and the least 5, I guess is a good way to say it, and we'll go in ascending order, I guess. So we'll probably start with the worst of the worst, or at least to us. Now, the one thing I did exempt from this is the season finale because collectively that is the worst episode. Let's be honest, but it's kind of a cheat to put that in the 5.
Might be the worst episode of TV ever made.
I don't know if TV, but Star Trek maybe. Yeah.
Definitely Star Trek and maybe all of TV.
Maybe
it's up there. It's a contender.
I wouldn't say it. I'm not sure it's even the worst Star Trek, but you know what? It's definitely up there for bad TV for sure. So, Adam's, I think, joining us back again. Hopefully.
All right, let's see.
Do we have him? Testing Adam.
20 years?
It's about that before we actually get a response from him. Let's see. We're all holding here.
That was
come in, Adam.
Can you hear me now? I'm good.
I'm here. You're good now.
You're delayed, but
right.
we'll live with it. All right. So because it's better than Code of Honor.
Honey, if you're listening, I want a computer for Christmas.
Yes. You know what? I'll message her later and maybe drop the hint. So, but anyway, I can let you know about that. I'll hook you up. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. So. As I said, we do have the 5 worst and 5 best. So we're going to start with the best of the worst, I guess we'll start with. So, which came in of the top 5 worst, the top of those, which had the best score out of them, was actually an episode called Oasis, which was from season 1. That was episode 20. And that's the episode where the crew finds a derelict spaceship in which they can salvage some supplies, only to find that the ship is not quite as deserted as they were once led to believe. I think the worst thing about this episode was they wasted a very good actor on it. I can't remember the gentleman's name off the top of my head, but he's been in tons of stuff. Actually, I probably should have had that.
So yeah, we collectively gave it a 3.9. The low score being Davan at 3. I'm trying, and
Who was the highest out of that one, Dave?
The highest was me at 4.5.
4.5. So you weren't that far off though from everybody else.
No, we were all roughly in the same. This was the one with Rennie Aubergenois.
Yeah.
Yes. And Annie Wershing.
Yes.
It was like a ghost story episode.
That's the name I was trying to go with here. Sorry. But yeah, no, it's obviously of Odo fame. So that's he's a great character actor. So I felt like this was a waste for him. And I think the premise was, I think the ending of it was essentially he created a holographic crew.
Yes.
So that way his daughter wouldn't be in isolation, because only him and his daughter survived, because he did something to jeopardize everybody else but saved his daughter, I think is what it was.
I think only he lived, right? It wasn't everyone a hologram but him or something.
No, I think his daughter was alive, wasn't he? Can't remember.
No, it's you. I think you might be getting confused. It might be. I barely remember this episode, but you might be, because it's so much like that one where it is just the TNG episode, where it is at the end. Just
where the guys in the cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think no, he did have his daughter was alive according to the thing.
Okay.
And the reason why he created the crew was so she wouldn't be isolated.
Okay, so there was only the 2 of them alive. It was a lot like a Deep Space Nine episode, and this was when we were still in that phase in season 1 going, are they going to write original episodes?
Yeah. Are they going to actually, give us an episode where we're not going, wow, I've seen this before. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Oasis was kind of a nothing burger episode, and it was our 20th in that first season. So
you're gone.
Yeah, see you later. So,
you know what though? As you're describing that,
I
I think we're a little hard. I think I was hard now. I like that one.
Really?
Okay. Looking
what
back,
do you want to change your rating?
So
no,
what was his rating?
I'm not going to change any ratings tonight.
All right, let's get his rating, Dave. What was his rating?
His rating was a 4, I think. Hold on, I gotta make this bigger.
Yeah, that might have been though because we weren't seeing anything original at that point.
Yeah,
so you had originality fatigue, I guess.
You liked the episode the week before. That was Acquisition. That was the Ferengi one.
Yeah. I'm not gonna.
The one after you were okay with too.
But the way I just read the description of it too, and I think that looking back, I would have given that more, but I'm not going to change it right now.
Okay.
Well, you can regret things. Why not?
Yep. I have regrets. All right. Are we going through all the bottom 5 first? Is that
no? I think we'll just kind of alternate.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sure, whatever you want.
I think we should do that. So let's go with the 5th best episode, according to us, which was an episode called Affliction, which is from season 4, episode 15. While the Enterprise visits Earth for the launch of Columbia, Phlox is kidnapped and forced to help the Klingons deal with a grave threat towards their species. Now, this was a 2-parter, but the second part didn't actually even make the top 5. So we liked this episode, but we didn't like the episode that followed it to conclude it. Not as much. It probably was close, but I think it was off enough that we didn't like it. So
yeah, they did the two. Yeah, it was a 2-parter, but they had completely different writers, directors.
Yeah, and that showed, right? Because that for the whole conflict with Phlox was great, and obviously having the Klingons in there were fantastic as well. All the times that we saw the Klingons, they were good in this series. I don't recall a single episode that had any Klingons in it that it was a bad episode. Except for obviously the second part of this one was worse. We still rated it an 8.2. So is it really that bad?
Pretty afraid of this episode going in, knowing that they explained the Klingon head.
Yeah.
But they did it. they surprised the hell out of me. They did a hell of a job.
Yeah, and I think we got
tying
that.
in.
I think we got all that information in the first episode. So,
And this one
I
was
think
the
that's
one,
we did
guys,
too.
with James Avery as the Klingon as
yes,
well.
yes,
Yeah.
Uncle Phil was a
Yeah.
Klingon,
Yeah.
which is fantastic, and I miss him. I really wish he was still acting, but obviously he can't now. But I can't remember when he died. It was probably about 10 years now, somewhere around there. James Avery.
Even less, I think.
Was it less than that? I know he died from complications from a heart surgery, I believe.
Yeah,
But
not been that long. I know there was something like Will Smith is now older than James Avery was on.
yeah, which
He
that's going to
died
happen
in,
eventually.
Died on New Year's Eve, December 20. New Year's Eve 2013.
So over 10 years now.
So it has been 10 years. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. I was pretty close.
And Seth MacFarlane was in this episode as well.
Well, don't tell Davan; he might lower his score. So he has a real
I'm covering
hate
up
on
Adam
for,
here, but sorry, Adam, I'm covering
Seth
you up.
MacFarlane.
Norman says I wasn't that much of a fan of the Klingon two-parter. I would have rather had the answer to be Worf. That is just something that they did not discuss with outsiders.
They are Klingons, but we do
They are
not
Klingons,
discuss
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I did like that. That's why I was worried, because I do like that explanation in Deep Space Nine, but the fact that that is something the Klingons wouldn't talk about with outsiders, like they actually made it something that
stigma
that you
shame.
buy that they wouldn't. Yeah.
Well,
So-
and
We do not
after,
discuss it with outsiders.
so between Enterprise and Kirk's thing, well, actually, no, I guess it would technically be Picard's ship at this point. Between that time period, at some point they decided, no, we don't discuss this at all anymore, because obviously they were a little bit more open to it. Well, they still kept it a secret technically, even in this episode, right? But they learned things, so there you go. But anyway, I guess it never got reported back though, because
Lots of
Or-
things don't.
Yeah.
Or over a century it was forgotten.
Maybe.
Because we're also kind of led to believe that the Klingons and Earth don't have a ton of contact for many
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
Until like the Federation becomes more of a thing.
which I guess
And,
that's a good thing that they didn't overuse the Klingons in this series, because they had 97 episodes, and they only had I think 2 episodes that were Klingon based. Well, 3, I guess,
more
if you count the
more than
two-parter.
2, but
Did they have more
because
than
there
2?
there was one in like the second season where they're on that Raptor ship or whatever. and,
Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, so there's probably like 4 or 5 then, which is
I
still
think-
not bad ratio wise when you think
I
about
think
it.
there's a Klingon well, there's the Rurapente one with him and the J.G. Hertzler.
It's okay. Yeah, you're
Or
right.
the Tribunal one. And don't some Klingons chase them down when they're going into the Expanse? Initially,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right.
so
they do. They wrap that up pretty quick, because Archer's like a fugitive or something.
Oh
Right.
yes,
Klingons
that's
want
right.
him.
That's right.
Yeah, they want him
because he got out of Rurapente.
Yeah.
he got it a real pente. Yeah.
You know what else was great about this episode? Again, it was like Flock's dedication to medicine, and just showed it. No matter what, he's a doctor.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. Norman says at least 5, which I think he's right on. So 5 or 6 episodes, yeah. So
Yeah, were they overused? My only
think so.
downside with the Klingons in this series was the use of cloaking devices. I think that they shouldn't have had them yet. I thought that, like, I always liked there was kind of like a long-standing theory in sort of like the fan community, like even before Next Generation came around, that there had been like a technology exchange between the Romulans and the Klingons, and that's why because we see like the Romulans have Klingon style ships, right, in the Enterprise incident, and the idea was that the Klingons had traded that technology for cloaking technology from the Romulans and whatever. So but this show kind of did away with that concept.
well,
for
it does happen
reasons.
before those events, though, so it could still happen.
I guess, but the idea was it happened during the Next Generation, or sorry, the original series era, which is 100 years after Enterprise.
Yeah.
So, but that's a minor quibble.
Which is one thing we do have to give them props to in Enterprise. I don't think they really I don't think they screwed up too much of the canon.
Yeah, they did.
Well, there
I
was a
just-
couple things they did.
I
What-
just watched today that Borg episode. You're telling me that the very first warp ship, the very first with Captain Archer, there's schools named after him, that the report about the Borg never made it through history. Didn't
So,
last 100
It's funny you
years.
should mention that because I was reading something. I can't remember where I was reading. It was probably about a month ago now. And I remember them saying that in some sort of book or something like that, that was published before or was published just during the run of Next Gen, they actually explained that there was something that was in that it's essentially does link that. And apparently they took it out of the second Borg episode. They were supposed to put it in and then they took it out or something like that. So I can't remember exactly what the details were. If I ever find it again, I'll post it, but I can't remember exactly what the details were, but there was something to explain it, but I guess they took it out, and I guess in a way that's probably better. But then obviously Enterprise came and ruined that. So I guess it goes both ways.
They already had established that the Borg were known to Zephram Cochrane. And he clearly had gone. They explained that he had gone around telling people about it, but nobody believed his stories because he was kind of a drunken fool.
Well, he was a drunken guy, according to First Contact, anyway.
But a hero of the planet, nonetheless.
Yes, hero of the planet, but also a big drunk. Yeah.
So, but I do agree. Like that is sort of like messing with the canon. I think the Ferengi episode is kind of bordering on that.
I think they did it in a way where it still works, but
they did.
Yeah, but I kind of agree with you because to me, the first time we encounter the Ferengi is a Next Gen. So, and they're a Next Gen only villain, which obviously at the time they were. But, Enterprises kind of gave a little bit more to that, I guess. But I think it was worked enough. But I also think they did actually take care of some of the canon okay. Like I don't think they brutalized it like some of the other shows have. Like Discovery being one of them. But
they've been good stewards of the canon, but
they've kept it fairly clean, I guess. But there was obviously mistakes for sure.
They had this whole temporal Cold War angle throughout the show, which kind of gave them license to bend the rules a little bit, I think.
Well, they can bend them and then they can reverse them, right? So they could also say, oh, that was an alternate timeline, and now those events have made it so that's not possible.
But the introduction of the Xindi gave them like leeway. I mean, they've never seen these guys before. They could do a lot with that,
Oh yeah.
The Xindi I thought was one of the best things to come out of the show because not only did we have a race to fear, but these were multiple races that were all working on kind of a common ground at one point, and then they started kind of splitting off again. So I thought it was an interesting way to deal with the species where usually we deal with like Romulans are Romulans, Klingons are Klingons and stuff like that. But
you look at that season 3 where that was the Xindi arc. That's the best season for us. Where
for us,
in terms of our ratings,
there was a lot of good quality episodes in that season. But I also don't think the other seasons did poorly. I think season 1 probably had the worst of all the episodes, I think.
I think that the Suliban as an antagonist were not well received. I think that the Xindi were kind of.
I like their idea.
Suliban was fine. It didn't have enough to it to last a season or 2 seasons or 3, whatever. Come and go, fine, but it didn't hold my interest anyway.
No.
Yeah, I think that's how. I think they wanted like Silic to be like the Gul Dukat of the show, and for like there to be this long-standing feud with Archer and Silic. But then Silic ends up turning kind of good at the end and dying and sacrificing himself, and they kind of write him out of the show. But I appreciate that they tried to invent something new. And same with the Xindi. Like they tried to come up with something like, yes, this is a prequel, but this is a species you've never heard of before, or this is a threat that you've never heard of. I think
but to Jody's point, that was a great race. I mean, nobody had considered, was it 5 races in one with including the Avians?
Yeah, I think if you count the Avians, it's 6, but
6,
the Avians are already wiped out, right? So
right.
But that was very, very interesting.
It was neat because in Star Trek we always had the like one face of the villain, right? Like whereas this one it was multiple faces of the same villain.
And when you saw them in the council, when you had the I can't remember what you called them, but the
Aquatics.
Council of Doom.
Aquatics. Thank you. Aquatics.
The Council of Doom.
Yeah. It was We'd never seen it. It was
It was
great.
refreshing, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
It was it gets a cool idea, like, and they were like, yeah, most planets only one intelligent species emerges, and then I guess because the intelligent species always kill the other intelligent species.
I remember when they were introduced, because I watched this series when it came out originally, and I remember thinking the same thing I thought when I first saw the Borg, right? Like this is something we haven't seen before. Which the Borg in a way kind of is. When looking back at it now, we have kind of seen characters like this before in Star Trek, but the way that they dealt with it I thought was unique, and I think with the Xindi is the same way.
Like
So
they
the
had
Xindi felt like we had an army against us instead of just one species, even though it was one species.
well, it was kind of like a little federation, right? Like,
yeah, it was their own little federation,
which made them
Yeah.
formidable
That's
in a
a good
different
point.
way.
Yeah.
And that you couldn't just appeal to one of the five; you had to get all five of
You had
them.
to get all of
It-
them on board. Yeah,
It also made way for the political part of it that Star Trek does so well.
yes.
So where you get to see the internal politics of the Xindi.
Well, and you got to see
rather
the
than
fighting between them and all that. Yeah.
Right, rather than it just being sort of military hierarchy.
But you know
that
what else was
you're-
cool
you're
about that
looking
is
at.
the fact that they did the Degrid was the humanoid, I guess, and but having the marsupials with him along the way was kind of cool as well. Because it wasn't one faction; it was two of the five, and with the aquatics sort of on both sides, you never know.
Right. That's right. Xindi aquatic.
All right. Well, anyway, we've dabbled into that, so now it's time to go to the second of the worst episodes, which happens to be Adam's favorite episode.
Okay, like this is kind of incredible that this still made the list.
What, Minefield?
Minefield. It still managed to get into the bottom five, despite the fact that Davan and I gave it a 7, Davan gave it a 9, and the three of you brought it far enough down that it made
Good.
the bottom 5 anyway.
That's where it
so-
deserves to be. One of these days, you guys will all come to your senses.
I'll just say my bit first, but I have to tell you, like, I gave it a 0. Holy crap!
We got to take the banner off of you there so we can. See
At this
afterwards.
point, oh my god, it was only was it the 3rd episode? Oh my goodness!
Season 2, yeah.
Season
Okay,
2, yeah.
I was so tired of Malcolm right now, and this did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, what would you rate it now, Adam? Not
I don't
that
think
we're
I'd
gonna
give it a
change
0. I wouldn't. I'd probably bump it up to 4 or 5, probably. But
4 or 5. So
just be
realistically, it probably would bring it up to about a 5 then.
Jolly good.
really good.
But anyway,
I'm sticking
I
with
still
my
think
rating.
I am with mine as well. It is not a good episode.
I am sticking with my 0. Fuck Malcolm. I hate that fucking episode. I hate the
brutal
second he
episode.
was like, I have to pee. I was like, fuck.
And the
this.
worst thing
What
is,
kind of
you're-
show is this?
you're
Like,
showing us a species we already know and we already hate, and you could have did so much with it, but instead you stuck Malcolm to the side of a goddamn ship. Like, what was that?
Like, where was the episode where they with Trip and him were stuck in the shuttle and getting drunk and
That's
Shuttlepod
called
1.
Shuttlepod 1.
That was in season 1, right?
yeah, it was in season 1.
Yeah, it's episode 16.
That was
That was
the
a good
first. I gave that an 8. Holy crap! Okay,
That was a good episode, though.
It was a good episode, but he bothered me in that one too.
oh, he does.
He bothered me, but not as much as he bothered me in Minefield. Minefield, he was practically sitting there with a hammer trying to die.
But he was
Like, that's really what he was
not
trying to-
acting like his role, his rank.
He
his
was acting
anything.
like a little bitch, and he was like, "Well, it's time for me to die then." And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
because that's what
That
we want to see.
episode
We
is
want to
where
see. We want to see whiners. Like, come on.
that episode is the whole reason we say that Malcolm has a death wish.
Yeah.
It starts with that episode.
That episode shows us that he has a death wish, and then there's other episodes of this series that you're like, "Yep, he definitely has a death wish." He keeps trying to do stupid things.
And another thing that I remember thinking at the time is like, why is Archer putting up with this? Like from one of his officers, like this.
Yeah,
He's got
it's ridiculous.
I was constantly asking myself in the first 2 seasons, is this the best Earth has to offer?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Did the World War III really just?
Well, that's why you had a doctor.
We just
who
got
wasn't
rid of
human.
everybody that was good. Yeah,
Yeah, like everyone, like this is what
That was the real problem with World War III. It knocked out everybody that was useful. Yeah. Now we got as much guys that want to die. You know, like if he was so much about having a death wish, why the hell was he in space exploring? Like, yeah, I get it, it's dangerous, but like, come on, like, there's got to be better ways to do this. Like, go be like an explosive technician or something. Like, come on. But anyway, it is what it is, I guess. But I don't think we need to spend any more time on that episode, do we?
No, we
No,
spent
I
a
don't
lot
think
of time on that episode since that episode. So.
Yeah, we
Oh.
talk about it a lot as being probably one of the worst ones. I'm surprised it actually wasn't the top worst one for us.
But wait a second, what was Davin's rating, please? Because I mean, he speaks.
Yeah,
Nine.
give it a 9.
I gave it a 9, yeah.
I gave it a 7. I thought it was fine. It was not. It didn't blow me away, but I certainly didn't hate it. It was completely acceptable for me.
That might have even been the first 0 I handed out.
Let me see if
David
I
be
can
able to
fact
tell
check.
you.
I was so I hated that episode so much.
I don't think I ever gave a 0
Yes,
on
it
any.
was your first 0. Up until that point, your lowest rating was a 3, which you gave to Terra Nova, an episode we'll talk about in a bit. So, and you gave a 4 to Oasis. Mostly, you were, and you didn't hand out another 0 for some time. Actually, I don't.
Yeah, that episode disappointed me so much. I was disappointed in the whole show.
And the
You
worst thing about it was the villain. The villain is a perfect opportunity to make that a great episode, and they didn't.
Yeah.
You
Just
gave
seems so-
a
such a
0
waste.
to Bound. That was that Orion one. That was the
Oh,
the
I
only
know.
other time you gave out a 0 on Enterprise.
I never gave a 0
Really?
on the
Only
show, did I?
2?
I was
Oh, that's
surprised.
crazy.
I don't think I gave a 0
Oh,
at all.
and then the final one, like the finale.
Well,
was
yeah,
0.
that doesn't count.
Yeah. So
That's the one that doesn't exist.
Jody,
Me
you hate
too.
the Romulans. Well, I do hate the Romulans, but I think they're a great villain. I'm not totally sure what you even mean by that comment.
I definitely prefer the Klingons to the Romulans as an antagonist or even as a friend. Was I
tell
on
you
drugs? Maybe.
To tell you the truth, I think the Romulans somehow are simultaneously underused and overused.
Yes.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
I don't know
next gen season 5, they were overused a lot.
What I think sets the Romulans apart from the Klingons specifically, even though they go back to the original series, is that we had Worf in Next Gen and Deep Space Nine, and then B'Elanna Torres. So we've had like a few Klingon characters that have been like our heroes, but I don't think we've had a Romulan character, like not a main character, on a show until we had Elnor, who no one cared about on Picard. That's it, right? Like there's no all the other Romulans.
The problem with Picard is I didn't care about half the characters. Like it.
Yeah, but when you look back at Next Gen, though, there was some captains and admirals you really liked, like Tomalak and
yes,
just
absolutely
regulars.
Like, I don't hate the Romulans, but like it's hard to love them because they always seem to want to kill us. And
So Norman says that there's worse episodes than this. Which
Those are some bad episodes.
I think one of those is actually on our list, but we'll see. But Precious Cargo, I can't remember which one that one is. I think that's the one with the person in stasis.
Oh yes, that was terrible.
That was a bad episode. And then Night in Sickbay was obviously the one with Phlox doing the. I think he was watching. He was watching the dog, wasn't he?
He had to put
Yes.
all the crew to sleep or something because he was doing.
Yes, everybody had to go to sleep. Yeah,
we didn't hate that. We gave it a 7.2.
It wasn't terrible.
I didn't mind
but
that episode. It was a
yeah.
Flux episode.
And
Precious
Marauders.
Cargo. I'm pretty sure we did not like that one.
We didn't
we
like
didn't.
it, but it didn't make the
No.
top 5.
We gave it a 4 collectively, and was
It
the last
just
one?
it just missed the
Marauders?
top 5. Marauders, yeah.
Marauders. We gave that a 5.8. Didn't like it either. So
Actually, Marauders isn't on our list either. Yeah.
well, it's not in the bottom 5.
That's true.
But yeah, so just as we're wrapping up here on Minefield, what do you think about the Romulans, Worf?
The Romulans. I always knew they were without honor. Now they have proven it.
With this episode,
true.
Minefield.
It's true. They have as much honor as Malcolm has. Anyway, let's go with a good one now. So
Yeah.
our fourth best episode that we rated was an episode, season 3, episode 20, The Forgotten.
Oh,
yeah, you got the wrong one up there.
Oh, whoops.
I know I messed up the order for you, but I'm going by rating upwards for
The Forgotten. I didn't forget. What's
Well, you didn't forget. You just had a had an issue there. Anyway, this is 2 members of the Zindi Council try to stop the launch of the weapon, or offer to stop the launch of the weapon if Archer can prove that the Zindi have been manipulated.
Yeah.
That was a good dialogue episode. I think the dialogue was awesome in that episode.
Kevin
we
gave
got
it a 10. Davin gave it a 10.
Yeah,
And
I probably gave it around a 9.
Jody was the lowest at a 9.
Yeah, it was still a good episode. I found it boring at times, but past that it was good. But I find the political stuff way more boring for me most of the time. So
that's what I'm here for.
Well, and that's why I don't regard DS9, all the episodes that people love of that series, to be great episodes.
I got one friend
a lot of them aren't.
Who doesn't like the politics, friend who doesn't like the battles. And I'm like, kind of like,
I love the battles in DS9.
So
no, I don't like the battles.
Kevin doesn't.
They did some great battles in DS9.
So many battles.
No, I just you know what? Generally, whenever Bajoran politics come up, which unfortunately happens quite a lot on that show, that's when you lose me. The Bajorans, in my opinion, are one of the worst races in Star Trek. They're just so stupid. I don't like them. But anyway, that's just me.
Oh, okay. I did like this. I couldn't remember because again, the Zindi thing.
The problem is all the Zindi
together,
episodes
right?
run
But
together.
This is the one where they've got.
This is the one where
Hoshi has to. They have to get the code.
Yes,
and
they've taken
Hoshi.
her, and they've basically told her, if you don't decode it, we're going to kill you.
Is this when like Degra and the Arboreal kill the reptilian ship? They actually
It was either this one or the episode right after.
I think it was
the one right after
one.
this one.
I think it was the one after. Yeah.
Hold on, I think it might be. Yeah. They actually do fire on the reptilians in this episode.
Oh, okay.
But this is when they bring trying to convince them that the sphere builder is behind it all and manipulating them.
Right. So like this is where Archer and they kill these reptilians.
Actually, I think you're right, because I think they actually killed them near the end of this episode, and then the kind of fallout happens after that.
Right, because then they have to get to the planet.
The council,
right?
yeah.
Can't remember what it's called.
The Council of Doom.
The Council of Doom, and all that. Yeah. So like I was just trying to remember, because like some of those episodes do blend together because they are one big story.
And this is where, Dave, where we were seeing the Enterprise at its worst. Like it was in horrible shape.
Oh yeah.
Tucker's
Which is another thing I loved about this series. We don't get a lot of that in Star Trek.
Yeah, they
usually
really
the
patch
ship
it
has
up
a little bit
quickly.
of damage, and that's it.
Yeah.
But we had like a solid probably 5-10 episodes where the Enterprise just looked like absolute.
It extends into season 4 because they don't even really.
That's right.
Like,
yes, you're right. Yeah.
Because they have to go fight the Nakul for like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And this is where also another Seth MacFarlane episode, by the way.
Yes.
There you go.
He got yelled at by Trip in this episode. Do your job.
Do your job.
Trip yelled at a lot of people in this series.
He sure did. A lot of people want transfers out of his department.
Seems to be a hard boss to work under.
I don't understand why.
But yeah, this was, in my opinion, one of the pinnacle episodes of the Zindi conflict. There's one episode that's a little bit higher for us that happens as well, which is a couple episodes from that, which we'll be talking about shortly. But unfortunately, we have to talk about the bad as well, gentlemen. And guess what time it is? Pew, 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 pew. It's North Star.
North Star.
Yeah.
This was my 0. This should have been my 0.
I don't need to look this one up. I know
this is season 3, episode 9, where Archer decides that instead of fighting a Zindi conflict, let's go hang out in a cowboy planet for a while. This is the most out of place episode in this entire series. It makes no sense why it's where it is. It doesn't progress anything to do with the Zindi arc, and episodes before it and after are all about the Zindi. But yet this episode has to be slightly different. I don't get it. We had the shipment, the episode 2 episodes before this, which was when they figure out what's going on with Degra and stuff like that. So like this was an abysmal episode.
Because as much as we like this season 3, especially the Zindi arc, there are some stinker episodes, especially early in season 3, and especially this one. But like we want some honorable mentions. Like look, you can see Extinction there, Rasian, Impulse. Even Exile was sort of whatever. And then the shipment in Twilight got exciting. And just when it got exciting, they gave us
another crap episode.
this
Then we're like,
cowboy
this
episode.
sucks. And then
but
they
this
did
is a Star Trek
Similitude, which
thing.
is also not a great episode in my
It's a
opinion.
time
but
travel one,
I did
yeah.
give it a good one.
But,
Oh, no,
You're
it's the
right,
Sim-
Adam. Yeah.
No,
You
Carpenter
know-
Street was the time travel one.
But you go back to Fistful of Data is awful,
Yes.
and whatever the original series one.
But I will stand by my
Your-
original
Oh,
comment
Spectre of
on
the
Fistful
Gun.
of Datas.
Spectre
The
of
reason
the
why Fistful of Datas suck, why does it suck? It's not the cowboy theme.
What
Are
is
you going
it?
to blame it on Troy?
No. There's
Alexander.
somebody- Oh, you got it. Alexander is the worst.
Yeah,
Alexander is the absolute worst in that series.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Western genre,
No,
but
me
like,
neither.
Me
but
neither.
that's not why the episode's bad. The episode is bad not because it's a Western, but because it's this convoluted story about this group of humans abducted. Again, it's a lot like the 37's story from Voyager in some ways. It just felt like a rehash. It doesn't have any place. There's that stupid scene where Trip trades a harmonica for a horse or something, and like to do what? Like, I don't like.
And also, speaking of horses, where did the horses come from?
They were abducted too. I
They
guess.
brought them with them.
and the
The whole town.
harmonica. Because he's like, when he got the harmonica, he's like, I haven't
They
seen
were-
one of these in a couple
They were
of
in
years.
stasis.
Yeah, like I was just like, okay. And there was no technological advancement in hundreds of years.
So
either.
Adam,
Yeah.
Sam says Fistful of Datas is a good episode.
No, Sam,
No,
it's not.
It's not. It's not
It's
Sam.
not
We're
that
sorry.
bad.
It's not good.
It's
Why
not
don't you
great.
start putting cowboy hats on?
So I'm going to
Enterprise
give you an
crew? I'm
easy,
done.
Sam. I'm going to give you an absolute easy guide to watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. If Alex is in the episode, if Alexander is in the episode, do not watch it.
Or
It
he's
is not
mentioned
worth-
even. Even
Even if he's mentioned, it's not
No,
great.
the one where Worf kills Duras is a great episode.
Oh, actually, that's true.
That's a
That
good
is a
one.
good episode. But like the one where Worf wants to kill himself. Yeah, no.
yeah,
that
yeah.
wasn't a
You know,
good
actually,
episode.
that's pretty good. When Kalar cancels out Alexander. So
It's like in Voyager. If Kess is the main character for that story episode in Voyager, it's a terrible episode. That's all you need to know. You see Kess, turn it off. That's what you should do. Same thing with Alexander. You see Alexander, bang, turn it off.
Well, I'll keep watching, and I think there are a couple Cass episodes that are okay, but it's.
Oh, you know what's even worse, Jody? Alexander and Loxana Troy together. in
Oh
that one.
God, that is the trifecta of terrible.
And that in the mud bath.
In the mud bath.
Oh, that mud bath episode.
The
is
nearer
just-
Tell you the honest
it's
farther,
so
or whatever.
I actually fucking love that episode.
Yeah, but you
I
also
don't
like
mind
that
it.
episode of DS9 where they're playing the games, right?
Move
Oh,
along home.
Move along,
Move
home.
Along Home,
I
yeah.
didn't, but then I got to play the guy on Radio Theater.
The radio
I like
theater
it.
version, in my opinion, is a much better
It's
episode.
the definitive version.
It is the definitive
Uh,
version. Anyway,
not
there's
heard
not
it.
really much to talk about this episode. It is literally one of those episodes where the producers were like, well, we could rent out a cowboy set and this will save some money. Yeah, let's do that. And then they're like, oh, well, what we should do is put it in the middle of an arc that's good. That's what we should do. Because you can't have too much good shit.
Also, season 3 made the Zindi arc more of a wave rather than an.
It was a
arc.
wave.
Like,
Yeah,
it
there was a
up
little
and
bit of a down area.
Yeah,
where
it
you're
goes
waiting-
in and out.
There's like a
uh,
low tide and then there's high tide again for a while. Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
and they
it's
use
brutal.
it like they use the urgency of the Zindi threat very sporadically. Like where
Yeah.
Archer, sometimes Archer, it's like the most important thing, and then other times he's like, I have time to mess around with cowboys and whatever.
I have to admit, that was the only good part of that episode.
Yeah, actually, Norman, you're absolutely right. That was a
Norman's
good
right on
scene.
that one. And of course, our good friend here, Worldmind, says that Mudbath episode.
Oh, you're all out of your minds. It's
I'm okay with it.
right
too,
up there with Sub Rosa.
Oh, Sub
yes,
Rosa is
a
terrible.
classic.
I don't know if I
TV
hate Sub Rosa more than the Mud one, quite honestly.
gold.
I think I do. Sub Rosa is still absolutely god awful. But anyway. All right. Speaking of god awful, well, we just did that one. So now we got to do a good one. And here's a very good one, in my opinion. And I'm actually surprised this wasn't the best episode for us, but there are episodes that we rated better. This is season 1, episode 13, Dear Doctor, which in my opinion is the pinnacle of season 1. Even
I
though,
like this episode, yeah.
yeah, it's a good episode. Enterprise assists in a culture that is stricken by a planet-wide plague.
Oh,
This
this is the episode we had the ethical dilemma that Phlox went through, right?
Yeah. This was a very good character episode for Phlox. I think this was kind of the first episode where Phlox kind of ran on his own. Actually, Sam just brought up what I was about to say, which is this is literally like a classic Trek episode. Yeah, and I agree. It's got a lot of the drama without a lot of the action. There's not a ton of action in this episode, but it's still one that keeps you.
It's more of a moral dilemma episode. There's a lot of ethical questions. There's the Prime Directive is kind of chronologically introduced here as like an idea because it comes down to human morality versus these alien moralities. The whole idea of an oppressor versus the oppressed, and what your sort of moral obligation is to do or not do, and how Phlox looks at it as a non-human. I think it is a really good episode here. We gave it collectively a 9.5. The low point was Kevin at 9. With the rest and that Davan with a full 10 on this one. Pretty strong. It's one of the, I think it's the only episode in season 1 that I think breaks into the 9s for us. Oh no, and Shockwave also did too.
Shockwave was a good episode too. That was the ender, right? Season 1
season 1 finale, and then Shockwave Part 2.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
But this was a pretty high point in season 1.
I think it's definitely one of the standout episodes of this series. Which obviously our top should be, but I just think when I think about good episodes, this is probably one of the first ones that come up for sure. Like I knew even going into this when we were doing the rewatch, I think I even mentioned it when we were watching Silent Enemy. It's like this is the next one and it's fantastic, that kind of thing. So it was good. I love it.
It's a great episode. I think it really is memorable with a lot of forgettable first season episodes and even season 2 episodes. I think
so. This is the episode, Dave, where I'm just reading quotes from the episode. Was where Archer was saying, "Someday my people are going to come up with some sort of doctrine, something that tells us what we can do and can't do out here, something we shouldn't do." Yeah. I'm going to have to remind myself every day that we didn't come out here to play God.
Yeah, but that's also a perfect example of what we were all talking about a couple episodes back when we were talking about other things, which was like when it comes to canon, they treated it in a lot of ways. They treated it very gently, which was good. Like this whole Prime Directive thing, that's a nice nod to the Prime Directive without establishing it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it also established, I think, for us is how much power a captain really had.
Yeah,
prior to this,
especially then. Yeah.
Yes.
Like Archer could literally do anything. And every time he called back to headquarters, fucking what's his name?
Good job.
Like, you just do what you need to do out there. Like,
you're the one out
there.
You're the one out there, John. Yeah. We're still looking at these pictures of the comets. Pretty cool stuff.
The subspace transmission just got here on that.
The Vulcans aren't interested in it, but boy, are we.
Question here from Sam is how did the Andorian incident from season 1 not make it into, or is it season 1 or season 2?
Yeah, did any Shran episodes make it in? I don't think so.
No.
Based on all the ones on my list, no. Because the problem with the Shran episodes is Shran was the highlight of almost everything in those episodes.
Yeah.
So we found faults of other things.
He usually made the episode better, but I don't think he didn't happen to be in great episodes.
I can't think of a bad Shran episode though. Was there really a bad Shran?
Yeah, I think we're all. It just didn't make top 5 in the cases like Shadows of a Gem didn't make top 5 or a lot of these.
This is a very great episode. Love that episode.
Yeah, and just because we're looking at the top 5 doesn't mean we don't have. We couldn't have had a top 50. Like there's we have a lot of high episodes rated. Like when I did the sort, like I think we had in the 9s. I think we had something like 13 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, like I'm looking at like Judgment. That's the one with J.G. Hertzler where they do like the trial on Kronos.
Yeah.
Very
like
cool.
that's surprised not to see that too.
That's a 9x2. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just missed, right? So
actually, Norman makes a good point. Shran didn't make the season finale, the series finale episode that much better.
Nope.
He didn't make it worse
not at
though.
all. Absolutely made it worse. His whole story made it worse.
The story definitely was worse, but I don't think he himself made it worse.
Hey,
not Jeffrey Combs directly or anything, but
Jeffrey Combs is a treasure.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the writing was good.
I think Jeffrey Combs might be one of the most important people ever in Star Trek. and he's not even a main cast.
Right next to Chief O'Brien.
Yeah.
Well, Chief O'Brien is very important too. Let's be honest. He's definitely up there, at least with O'Brien. He's better than Worf, in my opinion.
Best supporting actors.
Anyway. All right. Well, anyway, guys, unfortunately, with the good does come the bad. And of course, our second lowest rated episode was from season 2, episode 10, Vanishing Point. This is the Hoshi episode, where she can't be seen by anybody. Following her first experience with the transporter, an eerie series of events makes Hoshi think she's become invisible to the rest of the crew.
Yeah, so I remember this one.
This was a painful episode.
It's kind of like the episode where Jody and Rolaren are like
that episode was better though.
That was way better.
Far better.
Yeah, this was a pale comparison. I remember we didn't like it very much. We gave it collectively a 3.6. I
think I rated it the highest. Yeah,
you
I
were
did.
at 5.
Yeah. Because you like Hoshi. That's why.
At that point, I actually did like Hoshi.
Well, we think we still all like Hoshi.
I like Hoshi now, yeah, for sure. I think her character has evolved fairly well. First season Hoshi is terrible, though. I stand by that. They didn't know what to do.
To the point of the fact that you guys were saying, like, who do they pick to go on this mission? Like, why would they pick somebody who didn't want to go?
Yeah, she had no interest in going, and basically she was talked into it.
Earth has to offer. Like somehow, some way, there wasn't one human doctor on all of Earth to go on this mission. So
I love that. Hoshi's coda after the awful Voyager episode that steals Trek tropes and does it worse. Yeah. Coda is a terrible episode.
Well, yeah, that's. I think that like that criticism of Enterprise, I think, still holds true. Is that a lot of these episodes are just rehashes of Voyager episodes, or Deep Space Nine episodes, or even Next Gen episodes.
There's even a couple original series in there too.
Yeah, even you could say
the only thing this series didn't do was a Naked Now version of an episode.
So,
they did, but anyway,
we did. But I think a lot of the episodes I was sort of down on personally were the ones where I was like, I've seen this story before. Like, this is just a waste of time. This is a filler episode.
If you think about back to Next Gen, though, season 1, they did a lot of the same episodes too.
And that's why one's considered not to be very good, So it's I think part of the reason why. It's and when they started doing their own thing, just like in this show, like by the time they were doing their own Xindi thing, you're like, okay, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. Or some of the stuff they did with like tying into other things, like when they did the Soong stuff and the augments, that was all right. Then they did the stuff with the Klingon stuff, that was fine too. The Andorians and the Tellarites and the humans and the Romulans and that.
The thing that I was surprised about,
I liked all of that.
I remember not liking season 2, and then when we did the rewatch, I was actually like, you know what, season 2 isn't that bad. Like comparison to season 1,
better than season 1. We liked it better than season 1 collectively.
Like there was a lot better episodes in season 2 than there was.
Actually, we liked season 2 better than season 4.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah. There was some good episodes in season 4, but not a lot of them.
They were kind of hit and miss, and that these are the Voyages. That finale is really taking down that season 4 score.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah. So
but there are some of those arcs I really like those 3 episode. I really liked those,
and that's something that I think this series did fairly well.
Job with those,
yeah. I think a lot of the arcs that they put in here were actually pretty good. Like
when you look back at the bravery to try a 3-parter after the Circle,
the
Bajoran trilogy. Oh my god,
with Frank Langella.
I still throw up in the back of my mouth every time I think about those episodes.
And there was also that Vulcan arc in season 4 with Archer with the Katra and all that.
Yep, I love that.
And T'Pol's mom, and
yeah.
Well, and I think overall their 2- and 3-parter episodes were pretty solid for the most part. I can't really. There's nothing that comes off the top of my head that I would say was a terrible 2-parter. I don't think there's really anything. Like I can think in Next Gen. Most of the Next Gen 2-parters were fantastic.
The season 4 beginning, the Stormfront part 1 and 2, we gave.
We
did not like that 2-parter.
I actually didn't mind that bad. Stormfront was the German one, right?
Yeah, with the Nazi stuff and all that.
Yeah, I actually liked that, but I think I liked it for a different reason. I didn't like it because it was Star Trek. I liked it because it was fun. But
Yeah, like it didn't make the bottom 5 or anything, but
No.
we didn't overall. We didn't like it.
They're mediocre episodes.
Yeah.
They're mediocre for sure.
And then Nicole, I was just like, and then like, I think when Kevin was like, he found out this was the end of the temporal Cold War, and he's like, and we're like, that's it. They'll never talk about it again.
Yeah, they'll never talk about it again.
Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, that's another thing they had slated for season 5, right? Season 5 is supposed to bring back a lot.
Bring that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we never got to see it, unfortunately. Actually, Norman brought up the one that I would have brought up from TNG for sure, which is Descent. Yeah, Descent Part 1 and 2 are both garbage.
And is that the one with Lore?
Yeah, that's the lore, and then and Data joins them, and they have the Borg.
Yeah, it's got a great like ending to Part 1. He's like, together the Sons of Soong will destroy the Federation. Part 2 doesn't pay it off.
Both episodes had
not
some
at
neat
all.
parts, but Part 2 definitely brought it down. I agree completely. So, but anyway, well, you know what? With all this negative talk, guys, I think we need to talk about a good episode now. And we're gonna go with the second best rated episode by us, which is season 3, episode 23, Countdown. With the help of some Xindi factions, the Enterprise crew attempts to stop the arming of the Xindi weapon. This was the second last episode in season 3, if I recall. So this was literally the episode.
It was the penultimate. It was the second last.
It was the penultimate. Yeah, penultimate episode there. So this was a great episode. This was also the one that has the notorious Archer jumping out from the explosion, isn't it?
No, that's
Is
why
that
I
this
gave it a
episode?
10.
I think this is the episode that had that.
This is the episode where
and the Makos get killed, and
it's looking pretty bad for them at this point.
It's looking really bad at this point. Yeah, no, that was a good episode.
This is this is a good ending to that whole storyline. Actually, this episode, next one, I quite liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. 0 Hour, I thought, was a solid episode as well. But this episode was better than that episode.
Yes.
It had a lot of action in it. A lot of things happened in that episode. We got to see Makos get slaughtered. There's a whole slew of stuff that was cool. We got to see Archer do his best quantum leap he's ever done
across that platform. I actually the villain of that season, which is I guess the Xindi reptilian guy. He was really great.
Yeah, he was.
We were impressed with your linguistic abilities.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed them.
Yeah, he was
I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
Reptilians prefer to be near the ground.
I'm gonna be
Fair
seeing
enough.
it soon. Ashley's just finishing up season 2.
Oh, is she? So you're gonna go
Yeah.
back into the whole Xindi stuff? Oh, that'll be fun.
Or this, where you did this for Degra?
Your traitorous bloodline will end at the tip of my blade.
He was
Dude had some
love
great
that.
lines.
Yeah.
He had some
Yeah.
great lines for a villain for sure.
Yeah, this one was good too.
After the injection, the parasites will invade your neocortex. Once they begin reconfiguring your synaptic pathways, you'll be much more compliant. Before, your primate brain is too badly damaged to understand. I want to thank you for helping us destroy your world.
He's so good. Oh, your primate brain,
He's definitely up there for sure. I enjoyed him as a villain. I also enjoyed Peter Weller as a villain. He was
this guy, I think.
but this guy is just top chart, man. Like
he's the Gul Dukat of Enterprise to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Gul
I-
Dukat was a great character in his own right for sure, and
He was just so xenophobic, so villainous, and
he was just everything was evil about him, which was fantastic. Yeah.
and how Archer would stick it to him. He's like, the reptiles used to run on our planet, I guess, but they're too dumb to keep going or whatever. He was like, talked about the dinosaurs or
Yeah,
whatever.
Norman says it's a rather good penultimate episode of the season, and maybe even the best. If not, it's up there. Which I would say for a penultimate episode, I think it really is up there. When you
Is it
compare,
our most top rated episode? I think it is, right?
No.
No, we have one
No,
more.
one
It's
more.
higher.
one more higher than that,
Okay.
barely, but it's higher. which we'll get to eventually, of course. But I don't think there's much more to say other than if you haven't watched this episode, you've done yourself a disservice. Like it's a fantastic
But
episode.
you need to do the whole season before you.
Of
can
course
get
you
there.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
can
gotta-
definitely skip the Wild West episode, though.
No, you need. You gotta be
do
complete.
not.
Here.
No.
No. You have to watch it. You have to lower the expectations
So that you're
so that
so
this
much
is
more paid
even
off.
better.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's basically the equivalent of pulling the Band-Aid off, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right,
Fair enough.
because like I, you know, a lot of times we talk about like Deep Space Nine, how it's our favorite Star Trek, and it is, you know, for a lot of us. But
Not for
it
me,
has
but
it
it's
has
fair.
some terrible episodes. It has some terrible
Every
seasons.
Star Trek series
Uh,
has terrible episodes.
Yeah, so they're all.
And same thing with seasons. Actually, if I had to say what's the worst series out of those, like this time frame of Star Trek, I would still say Voyager is my worst series, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily.
I don't agree with. I think Voyager is incredibly. safe.
Voyager later on did great, but the first couple seasons of that show are very hard to go through.
Lost in space.
That's basically what it is. Yeah, but you know, which is good, but I don't know.
I
just-
like this
I
show,
found
but
later
it's-
Voyager was much better.
I like this show, but it's still this show for me. Out of those four,
Of course. Yeah.
this is
No,
still
that's
the
fine.
worst one.
I'm just surprised you got through the whole series.
Kevin,
That's-
only 4 seasons. We're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but-
Well, Adam, how did this one compare to you compared to like original series, which was 3 seasons? You know, because and Jody too. I guess you were on both of those.
Mhm. I think I personally think TOS is good, but TOS has a ton of terrible episodes, like a ton. I would say at least half the episodes are terrible.
I'm going to go with Ted's line. And, you know, it was a time like it was. I don't think you can compare them, Dave. It set everything up. It was. I think at the time,
Well, they're
because
breaking new ground at this point, right?
and
So-
and you didn't have CGI. You didn't even have the budget to create what they create. I mean, what they did was amazing back then.
Oh, I
And-
think with what they worked with, I think
Yeah.
they came out. There's some episodes that even to this day I watch and I'm like, wow, that was pretty impressive for the
And-
series.
where they could update the effects here.
and the questions they were asking, and I think it was fantastic. And
But
you
even
know, if
with shitty effects, they're still good.
I was going
Like,
to save I'm going to save my final comments to the end, actually, on Enterprise, if you don't mind.
yeah, no problem.
no problem.
But-
Yeah, I just
But I think Enterprise, is a more watchable series for Star Trek. I think the original Star Trek is hard for a lot of people, especially if you grew up with Next Gen
Mhm.
and the quality of Next Gen, especially like Next Gen has some of the best Star Trek episodes ever. Like Fight Me, like it's good.
But going back in time,
But there
okay,
are some great classic episodes.
I'm a little older than you guys, and I remember as a
Mhm.
kid, I remember being like absolutely terrified. I can't remember the name of the episode where they were on the planet and the shuttle was crashed and those
Galileo
giants were
7?
throwing.
Galileo 7.
Yeah.
Like
Galileo 7.
feeling absolute fear at that episode.
That was a great episode.
yeah.
Even Catspaw scared me as a kid.
Cat's
Um,
Paw is a scary episode, though. for sure.
But the thing about I guess the original series is it's almost all episodic because there's no arcs or like
no, there's no
Two-parters
There's
or-
not even
yeah.
the two-parter in the whole series.
except for
there's
the
one
the
menagerie.
cage, the
Oh,
menagerie.
the menagerie, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I also
the
remember thinking Captain Kirk was the coolest guy ever, and
Well, he
Yeah,
was.
Karen Rondeau would agree with you.
yeah, she
Well, she would agree with you in a bunch of different ways on that one, but
not so
yeah.
much as I rewatched it, So
And Adam, I think you touched the point there. Like it is a different time, and yes, there's going to be different things that were more acceptable then, which are
It was
not
the
acceptable
'60s.
now.
We didn't know.
But you know,
and that's the way women dressed back then.
I
So we
think-
didn't know it was not okay.
Yeah, I think all the series that came after the original series all have much better episodes in them than anything that was in TOS. But TOS, I think, for what they did, had some great storylines. There's some episodes that are fantastic in that series.
Hold up to this day, like some of the best science
Yeah.
fiction episodes ever made.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And
But there's far less of them than there is in the newer series.
But the ability for them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to get even the movies made, like that was great that they.
Oh, I think the movies are some of the best Star Trek
The-
movies, bar none.
Yeah.
Like
Deep Space Nine is my favorite series, but original series makes me the happiest. Like I'm the happiest when I'm watching.
And actually, that's a
original
good point
series.
because I think original series, you have to take it with a little bit of giggle. and it is an entertaining one, not necessarily a thinking episode, but
Oh, it
there are
is
a lot
too,
of them are
though.
entertaining,
Yeah.
regardless of how good the story is. So from an entertainment area, I think it's probably one of the best. But storylines definitely not. But
Right.
you know,
I think a lot of
to
that
each
just
his
comes
own.
down to characters and sort of how much you like the characters. And you know, I think that these Enterprise characters have grown on me a lot, but I don't love them as much as I love like the next gen characters, you know, or even
Yeah.
the
Oh,
original
no.
series.
But I'm
I
sure
agree.
some of that is what growing up with those characters, right? Like, so, and that's part of it as well. Like, for me, TNG is Star Trek to me. Like, that is the pinnacle of Star Trek to me.
Mhm.
Because I grew up with that. Now, I did watch the original series episodes, but even when I did the rewatch with you guys, a lot of those episodes I never saw because I only happened to catch it on TV at certain times, and
And
you
you
know, I
might
didn't
not have
watch
kept
it
it
with
on.
it
I
too.
was the same way for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch
And
original series
and going through that rewatch series, I saw some episodes I never saw before that were fantastic. So it's, you know, it's a different breed, and I think it also depends on what you grow up with as well. There's the rose-colored glasses for
yeah,
everybody.
like my dad, he can't get out of the 60s.
Yeah,
He's
like
all,
I think your dad could definitely enjoy a lot of other Star Trek, but because he has that on such a high pedestal, I don't think he'll ever.
he
be
can't
able
even
to.
he can't even accept a Batman who isn't Adam West. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's forget about
Which now, let's be honest,
Well,
Adam West is
that
a great Batman, but
well, he was,
and it
yeah.
is when the physical form was at perfection. Pure West.
Pure West.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I think that some of these characters really did grow on me, and some of them we never got to even know. Like, I still don't think we know Mayweather. I still don't think we know Hoshi
At all.
that much. You know, Mayweather the least.
The
but,
least.
Yeah. But there were some great moments. Like, I think like Trip in particular was one of my favorite characters on the show. You know,
They can giggle all at once, but the galaxy's not getting any of our bourbon.
That is still one of the best written episodes, in my opinion. The dialogue is fantastic in that episode.
yeah, him just being annoyed with
She's
the
got a
alcohol.
really nice bum.
bum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good bum.
Bum. She's got a really nice bum. But anyway, all right. Well, what can we say, guys? We have to bring in the worst episode, other than, of course, the episode we do not speak of, being the finale, of course. But the episode that we found to be the absolute worst, other than, of course, that other episode, which we'll never speak of again, is, of course, season 1, episode 6, Terra Nova. Enterprise investigates the mystery. What's that?
No, I just there was a groan because you were.
Oh, a groan. I'm sorry.
This
I
episode
couldn't hear it.
exists.
I thought maybe I was making a mistake. But yeah, Enterprise investigates the mystery of a lost Earth colony whose inhabitants disappeared decades before. But that doesn't mean that they left. Now, this is the episode that has the other gentleman in it, which I can't remember his damn name. But he's a great actor, African-American actor. I can't remember his name.
I'll see if I can figure out who you mean.
I can look it up. It's fine. What's the name of this episode again? Oh yeah, Terra.
Oh, I think he's an Egyptian guy. I think that's who you mean.
Is he Egyptian? Oh, excuse me.
Or something, or Middle Eastern, I think. I can.
He's
yeah.
been in tons of stuff. He's a fantastic actor. I've enjoyed him in everything that he's been in.
Here's a shot from that episode just to refresh our memories. Remember, like, there was the woman who was like, she was a little girl when they
Yes,
came
the guy on the far left is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Lots of stuff. Nobody
He's in
can,
tons
but
of stuff.
he's in like everything.
Yeah, and he's good. He's a great actor. He's got
Yeah.
a great range. He does crazy stuff. I saw him once as a gangster in one movie. and
Eric
then in another
Gavar
movie.
name is.
There you go. That's it.
Am I right? He's Middle Eastern.
Is he? Oh, cool. That's awesome. I completely got that
But
wrong. But
all I
anyway.
really remember about this episode, specifically, like anything positive, was like Phlox is like, "Yeah, your mom has lung cancer. I can cure that in a second," you know, and no biggie, right? So like establishing the cancer had been eradicated or cured by this point.
Can you share the scores there, Dave, for this one?
Sure. So you gave it a 4. I gave it a 3. Kevin gave it a 3, and Dad.
I actually gave it the highest.
Jody liked it the most at 4.5. I think I gave this too high at 4.
I'm beginning to think I gave it too high.
Or
too.
3. I think I don't think it deserves.
Because I briefly browsed through this episode again, and I'm like, this is terrible.
This is the 6th overall episode. Like, if you think like this is, I think the episode that
This is supposed to sell people.
Like
on the
I think
series.
I think I even fell off in the original back in 2001 or whenever this first aired. Like, we talked about the Andorian incident, which we liked. This is the next episode, 8.7, but this Terra Nova is a terrible episode.
It is. It's not good.
And,
The characters aren't likable, and the story is absolutely stupid. And it's just everything about this episode is just dumb. The dialogue's crap. I don't even know who wrote this one. I'm guessing this is a Braga Berman joint.
I believe
Directed by LeVar Burton.
Yes.
Yeah, well, direction doesn't necessarily mean like you can polish
He
a turd.
couldn't
It's
save
still
it.
a turd.
He
You know,
couldn't
like,
save it.
a shiny turd is still a turd, Kevin.
Yes. All right.
This is a Berman. Well, and this is something that we should be looking at. Like, if you look at the first, I guess in this case, 6-7 episodes, the stories are all written by Berman and Braga.
This one had a
Mhm.
different teleplay writer, but yeah, like they were. This was their baby. This show, I think more Braga than Rick Berman. But,
Yeah, I'm sure that this is more Braga for sure.
yeah,
But-
but I don't know. Like it's
Berman
Dave,
already had his chance to ruin a whole bunch of things before this, so I think they just gave it to Braga and said, "You ruined
Berman.
it."
I
now."
think is like I think there's he's a mixed bag.
He is. He's got some great stuff that he's responsible for, and some terrible
and some
stuff.
bad things, and he had some bad behavior too. I think.
Oh yes.
Especially when it came to the women actors in
Gates
a lot of the shows.
McFadden.
And most notably Terry Farrell, I think.
Terry Farrell, I think, is the worst one. Yeah.
And Marina Sears. So like, there's I think that's part of his legacy that's not so good. But I think Rick Berman did take over from Gene Roddenberry after Gene Roddenberry died, and he did carry the torch for a number of years. So
He did. Yeah. And he did create some good stuff too. So let's not shit on him completely.
Or LeVar Burton, who had to direct this one. Well, they paid him. Don't worry.
And LeVar Burton is a good director. Like, he's directed some great Star Trek. So like it's not his fault. This episode is not his fault. He worked with what he had, but it was not good.
Lieutenant Commander Jody LaForge, Chief Engineer.
Yeah,
This one definitely had a coolant leak.
It's a coolant leak.
One correction. He Avari is Indian,
Okay, so not
Egyptian.
or Egyptian. Okay, well, I was guessing. Okay, so last one, Jody.
Yep, this is the one that might surprise people because this is the highest rated episode that we provided. This is season 2, episode 14, Stigma. T'Pol's position on Enterprise is jeopardized when the Vulcans discover that she has contracted a mind-affecting disease. Meanwhile, one of Phlox's wives comes aboard and expresses a romantic interest in Tucker.
This is the episode that we actually, if I remember this one, talking about this, that we all thought T'Pol or Jolene Blaylock showed some really great acting skills.
It was all over the place in this episode, and it was fantastic. Yeah, she shined on this episode. Actually, this is one of the only 10s I gave, I think.
Yeah.
Did I give any other 10s, Dave?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either. I don't give out 10s very often.
No, a couple 9s here and there, but yeah, you don't give out 10s.
This is perfect Trek to me. This episode was fantastic. It had some humor in it, had a lot of dark themes to it as well. You got to see the mental transformation of T'Pol during this episode. It was fantastic. It was a great episode. I do not regret at all giving that a 10.
I didn't like that the Vulcan guy got away at the end. That was my big.
That was stupid. Yeah, but
he just flies away.
Yeah, he flies away, and they're just like, yeah.
Wait, what?
So, like in the episode, like this Vulcan guy like forces a mind meld on.
No, that's not this episode.
Which one's this one?
They talk about that episode in this episode.
Oh,
yeah, you're right. Yeah. We're merging the two together. Yeah.
This episode is about the council, or about the how they won't treat her because she contracted this disease, and because this disease is only contracted by undesirable people. This episode was
this was like the racist episode,
really all about the AIDS epidemic, and homosexuality, and
there was also this. You're right. Thanks for. It also has this whole B plot here with Trip and Flux's wife, where she's
had enough humor in it, and it was very awkward, but it was well done, I thought. I like the actress that played her as well. I thought she did really good. She picked up a lot of the mannerisms that Phlox has, and kind of went with them in a feminine way, which I thought was kind of cool.
And it was good because it was juxtaposed against this really sort of conservative story about the Vulcans, and on the other side you got the Denoblians, who Phlox is like, yeah, go have sex with my wife. You'd be stupid not to. Like, they're just so
he's
free.
like, she can rock your world, buddy. You better get in there.
And then at the end where like him and the wife just laugh, they're like humans, like they're so uptight. So,
but overall, I think this is in my opinion is the best episode of Enterprise for sure. And actually, I think it's probably in my top 10 of episodes of all of Star Trek.
And I think
it's a fantastic episode.
I think the episode after this is Judgment, right? I
believe
Klingon
so.
one? And those are two. I don't don't know if it's back to back.
It might not be back to back.
It's like 5 episodes later.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. Actually,
I was surprised that episode didn't make it.
So Stigma's at 9.6. Davan did bring up like the rating on Countdown to 9.7. So technically that's beating it, but only by a point. So.
But anyway, these are the top 5 and the worst 5 for us. Like that doesn't mean there isn't other episodes that are fantastic. We actually found a lot of episodes were really good in this series. There's a lot of stinkers too, but
overall we averaged at like a 7.3, all of us, all seasons. When you like compare that to like original series, for instance, which a lot of us were on, it's about the same, like a 7.2.
So yeah. So now if we look in the comments, there's people talking about like what episodes that they find to be some of the best. So let's see how we rated those ones, Dave.
Okay.
So
sure.
For instance, Sam says no Carbon Creek and no Intermirror Darkly.
Okay. Well, starting with Carbon Creek.
Carbon Creek was a good episode.
I liked Carbon Creek.
I liked Carbon Creek.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Carbon Creek, we gave an 8.9. So definitely
Kevin gave one of his notorious 10s on this one.
We give a lot of 10s to this show. The episodes that are good are really fucking good. Yeah.
But some of these episodes really suck.
Oh yeah.
Some of those episodes do suck for sure.
Like this is in the era right before like it's at the end of like that.
This was the hiatus. Like after this, like there was no Star Trek for a while.
Yeah, because this is like early 2000s, right? Where they're making 26 episodes a season, but
should they have?
This is especially at a time where audiences were starting to crave more like peak TV, smaller seasons, like more Sopranos and more cinematic and more
20 episodes.
TV was changing.
Yeah.
TV was changing at this time. Yeah.
And a lot of the exclusive cable producers, like the guys like HBO and stuff, they were branching out into some really good entertainment. And it's hard for like little dinky places, like for instance, this was on WGN, for instance, and all those type of things. So like it was hard for this to really compete. The fact that they even got 4 seasons is surprising, quite honestly. But Carbon Creek was good.
And for you guys, I mean, for me, Battlestar Galactica came out in 2004, the reboot, pardon me, and was like game changing at that point. That was so good.
Yeah.
Right. I think that show kind of did blow this show out of the water in some ways. Where
well, I think the biggest problem we have, which we now have with, for instance, the MCU, which is franchise fatigue. This is at a time when we've already had so many series recently. Like they hit us with 3 series at one point. Like we had a whole bunch of series going at one point.
Oh, you mean are you talking about Marvel or in Star Trek?
No, in Star Trek. So with that, like Star Trek, we had obviously DS9 didn't do very good at the beginning, but near the end it was doing fantastic.
But
Voyager was getting really solid. Voyager was just ending at this point, and then we had obviously Enterprise. That's a hard act to follow when you had to follow Voyager, which, even though not my favorite series, still had some fantastic episodes, a good track.
When you look at
DS9, obviously fantastic episodes as well. Same thing with Next Gen. So
like what you're right about the franchise fatigue. I think when like they did the Deep Space Nine spinoff, and especially with it not having a strong start, I think a lot of people fell off. They were like, I don't know if I want to watch a spinoff. I don't know if I want to watch the Voyager show. A lot of them didn't. A lot of fans didn't. Like, but Next Gen was a cultural phenomenon in like that. But by the time it ended, it was like so popular. They were putting it on like bags of chips and like all kinds of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, the merchandising and everything for that.
It's probably one of the best revivals of a series ever. Like the best,
absolutely,
sort of reimaginings.
If you look at at that legacy of Rick Berman, like who we were talking about, like I think the big miscalculation was he's like, okay, what we're gonna do is because every year they had to pay like the Next Gen cast members more. Right, because every year, next season. So he's like, by the end of season 7, they're like, we can't afford them, so we'll just replace them with all these new actors, like on a new show, like Voyager or Deep Space Nine or Enterprise, and we'll, but after a few seasons, then we'll have to start all over again. But I just think that gave you like the magic they had on that Next Gen show was sort of like lightning in a bottle, like
season 3 and on in Next Gen, just the cast is solid at that point. Like they are a family. You feel it even in the acting.
That chemistry, the original series cast had it too.
Yep. Season two of the original series had some great chemistry.
Right.
So.
And I think Deep Space Nine is a weird mixed bag of a whole bunch of things. But then if you look at like Voyager and Enterprise, like those crews are just not as endearing. They're just not.
Yeah. And so In a Mirror Darkly, Dave, where do we do on that? I think we're in 9s, weren't we?
Well, we were 9s in the first one, but not in the second one.
In a Mirror Darkly, to Sam's point, so like really, like Kevin and Davan didn't like. Davan never likes the mirror universe at all. So
it's we kind of expected.
And I did like it, but
I actually like the second part better than the first part.
I don't think it's one of the best. Like it's fine.
Dave liked them both.
It's a good episode.
I would rather watch that than watch what was that one you guys really liked? Stigma. I would rather watch the mirror stuff. So,
well, the In a Mirror Darkly was a great alternate telling of things, which is always fun, right? Like the mirror episodes, in my opinion, are always fun episodes in Star Trek for the most part. But I think this is probably the pinnacle of the mirror universe episodes. I think this is the best one out of all of Star Trek, personally.
Oh, I think Discoveries were really good too.
Some of them.
Is that show still being made?
Apparently. Adam and I are talking about season 5 in the new year.
Oh, so soon, yes. All right. And of course, Norman here says he thinks Damage is probably one of his favorite.
Damage
for me?
Sure.
He said the issue with Stigma was the comedy of Phlox's wife and Trip seemed to undermine the drama. Which I can see where you're coming from on that. Personally, I thought it was a great way to relieve some of the tension that was going on in the A storyline.
But it has to do with the A storyline.
It does have to do with the A storyline.
Damage. We liked it a lot. We gave it a 9.4 actually. So like the thing was when Jody pulled the top 5 and bottom 5, Davan hadn't filled a lot of his scores in, so he did change.
So he literally put a 10 in there, which made it go up higher.
Right. Before that.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that was probably around a 9.2, somewhere around there when I looked at it. So it's the problem is Davan has messed up our ratings as of now. But not Davan. But even though Damage was still a great episode, and on top of that, that was one of the episodes where you really got to see. Well, essentially the Damage, obviously, but that's the episode where the Enterprise got its ass kicked. The whole episode.
Yeah. Remember Hatchery?
I would rate that differently now too. Looking back, on that.
That's a weird.
Yeah, that was a weird one for sure. Norman also mentions the Observer Effect as another episode, which I can't totally remember that one.
Oh, is that?
I think that's season 2.
That's not the little slug.
Season 4.
Is that season 4?
Season 4. Adam doesn't have a
rating. Adam didn't even rate it.
Don't remember
Adam's like, forget it.
It's a Hoshi and Mayweather episode, according to us. What is Observer Effect?
I gave it a 9.5, so it's obviously good.
I can bring up the summary. Just give me 1 second. Observer Effect. Okay, that is a pair of non-physical Organians study their. Oh, this is the one where they're taking over the thing. That was a good episode.
Yeah, we liked it.
That's the one where they kept taking over everybody's bodies.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good episode. That was a solid episode. What
I
did
think I
give
have
that
to
episode,
watch
Dave?
that one. I'll come back.
You
with my
haven't
rating.
seen that one?
I don't
Oh.
remember it.
Yeah,
What do you
I think
think?
you were traveling.
for every it's kind of like original series. For every good one, there was always a bad one, like right before or after it, or mediocre. I guess not bad.
Yeah.
Except for
But-
season 3, but yeah, season 2, season 1 for sure. You'd have a
Even
good
season
episode, bad
3.
episode.
Like it just
Yeah.
they're just front loaded. The bad episodes are just more front loaded, and then you
Yeah,
have to
that's
get
true.
Yeah, they start you off with good episodes, and then they throw in North Star, and then they end you off with good episodes.
right. It's like the up and down, the wave.
The
as
up and
you said.
down, yeah.
So
Hey,
Night Shift says, "Hey guys, I'm rewatching Enterprise right now. Just started, and I don't know it as well as I wish, so I can't contribute much. But wanted to say hi. Well, hi
That's
back
why
to
I
you.
win in the trivia, Merrick, because you don't know it as much. So,
There you go. Yeah.
hey, Merrick, good to see you too.
Of course, Merrick, one of the friends of the channel for sure, and a contributor now too.
Contributor here on Live Long. Yep.
Yeah,
as well.
for
He's
sure.
got-
So watch out for some of his stuff. That'll be fun. And then we got kind of the opposite. Norman says Bound is probably one of the worst episodes.
Bound.
Biggest turd of the 4th season, he says.
I
Let's
was
see
the
if
high
you
vote.
felt the
like
same
it.
way.
I was the high vote at 5.2 on that. So,
Can you bring that one up on the screen, Dave? I kind of want to
yeah.
see how it compares to the rest of the season.
We collectively have 4.4. Pretty
Is
low.
it the lowest one for that season? Other than obviously These Are the Voyages.
Yeah, it looks like.
You know what it is?
except for
Oh.
These Are the Voyages. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, it
so
is.
bad.
It is one of the worst ones for season 4 for us as well. So you're spot on that one too.
0. Oh, if I could have just given it a fuck off. I hate. Oh,
Fuck
it's
off.
so bad.
And of course, Norman also says the same thing I do, and he goes, "Of course, not counting a certain series finale when I criticize Bound." Of course.
Yeah, Adam's bringing that up to a 2, and Davin's bringing it up. Oh, but Davin with a 5.
This
That makes it a 5 on that. Okay.
He gives In a Mirror Darkly a 6, and he gives.
When
that a
are we
5.
going to take it seriously to kick him off these review shows?
I
Like,
don't know. He
at
makes no
this point,
sense.
it's just getting brutal.
He
But anyway,
makes
no,
sense.
obviously his input is.
He's
just as
going to
welcome as
listen to
ever.
this too, and he's going to come at me tomorrow.
Oh, he
So,
will for sure.
But anyway,
Sam
uh,
says we forgot that Next Gen is a reboot. Eh,
no, it's a revival.
it's a revival, not a reboot. If it was a reboot, you'd have a lot of the same characters. You don't have those.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, it was a savior. I mean, you consider at that time.
Oh, it's
the movie,
saved. It's saved. Oh, season. What was that? Season 2.
Season 2, episode 18. The World Mind is asking about the
What's the name
crossing.
of it? The Crossing?
Yeah, I don't know. This, I
Oh,
don't
the
remember this one.
Crossing. I remember the name. Give me a second. here.
Archer
I'm just bringing it
episode. That narrows it down.
up. The
Um,
Crossing. Oh, this is okay. Enterprise is captured by a ship of non-corporeal.
Corporeal.
Corporeal, there you go. Beings who wish to trade consciousness with the crew's bodies, but
Oh,
these
yeah.
wisps may not be plan on giving the bodies back. Yes, okay. That
Oh
was
yeah, they get
that was not
taken
fun.
over by these
Yeah.
things. There were some cool visuals in this episode.
There was cool
Uh,
visuals though. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I don't think this show really let us down on. Visuals, I think, for what they had to deal with at that time period, I think they did pretty good.
Oh,
The only
look and
visuals
feel,
I'd say that
this
sucks
show's
is
great.
probably the first villain, the ones that can squeeze in the
Silic?
doors. Yeah,
The Suliban.
the Suliban. Yeah, I think that was a little too early for the CG for that one. But,
Sometimes I know we would sometimes talk about it with like if they do like the pull away, like the CGI people like walking down the ramps and stuff. Like
that
I
did get better though. You even acknowledged that
it
got
got better
in
by
the-
season 4, but I
by
was just
season
like,
4, but it was pretty brutal
Yeah,
for all
it was-
of it.
But
Yeah.
I got to say thanks, Dave, because I never used to notice that kind of stuff, so I could just happily watch my show.
You're welcome.
And now I see it all the time, and it
Yeah.
drives me crazy.
So
Well,
Norman says it is TNG was a revival. For an example, the Calvin Universe movies were a reboot, which is true. They had the same characters, just different scenario.
Yeah,
So
when you're
obviously
starting
that was
over, that's a whole different thing, right? So, throwing out the old like they did in the Kelvin, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Sam also
Yeah.
wants you to know that he is a friend of the channel.
Davin is on drugs. That's my other favorite comment. You might.
Gavin is, you know what, Sam? I don't think you've ever said anything more closer to the truth.
Goes right to the pineal gland. says the world mind. Well, So that's it, guys.
That's it, guys, and this is our final farewell for this this series. Obviously, we'll all be back around for other things, but I
Deep
think
Space Nine next week.
most of us are going to join the Deep Space Nine final season rewatch. I think
Season 7.
Yeah, I'm not going to be around for all of it, but I will definitely jump in from time to time.
Good. Well, yeah, we need bodies, and
yeah. If you guys are short bodies, then let me know, and I'll definitely jump on. But
yeah, so next week we're talking Image in the Sand, I guess, right? So Kevin and I
that's the
have
first
done
episode, right?
most of Deep Space Nine together, right? Like I think you came
Yeah.
along in season 1, right, Kevin? I try to remember.
Late season 1, early season 2, I think.
It was many years ago now that we started that podcast. So with Jeff and I started it, I was like, Jeff, this is going to take 3.5 years. With us taking about 6 months off, it's going to probably be closer to 4. So,
well, to give you a timeline, we started Enterprise at 8 after you guys were already in season 2, I think.
At least, yeah,
season 2, maybe even season 3, and we finished this series. Now there is a different amount of episodes, obviously, but we still had 97 episodes we covered. Now we did do a couple 2-parters and stuff like that. So obviously, but I guess the main question here, Kevin, do you regret your time?
Absolutely not.
Good.
Absolutely not. And I never would have done it. I never would have done it without you guys. This still would be, it would not exist. I would have no idea.
Kevin, can I call it another thing you never forgot or never didn't notice after was the amount of walking and talking that Archer does.
Archer can walk and talk with the best of them
away from the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, always.
Now I
We
will
look at his back so much. It's crazy.
Now I'm going to make one point that you guys might not like. Watch Cisco. He does the exact same thing a lot.
He doesn't throw his head around like
he doesn't throw his head around. No, he's usually within the frame at least. But he does a lot of walking and talking as well. So
I've basically watched a lot of Deep Space Nine in the last little while, so I can be ready for next week. And
I have to. And
Cisco does not aggravate me like Archer does.
No, because
Archer,
at least the stuff that
it's
he's
aggressive.
At least the stuff that Cisco is saying is generally interesting. Where half the time Archer's just repeating something that somebody else has said.
Actually, I think Archer's pretty good at his speeches. That's one thing I give him.
Yeah. The ones he's given are good.
He's got good tone.
I mean, he's not Picard level, but he's good. He's good speed. He's good.
He's all right. Yeah, like Archer, who I was down on before we did the show, and this whole cast and these.
I loved him the more we went in.
Yeah,
that first season is pretty brutal. Yeah.
I'd still put him towards the bottom of my favorite captains, but that's okay. Like
I think all the captains that preceded him were better. Yeah, it came before him, I guess, technically.
Well, the whole thing that
timeline lies, but
I mean, he was written this way, but he was so idealistic and eager to get out in space, and he just got jaded as time went on.
But I liked that. I thought that was a great way to do it because, well, even if you look at first season Picard is a prick. He's a total asshole, and then he starts being more lovable, and then by the end of that series, you're like, Picard is awesome. Like he's an awesome character. But that first season of Next Gen, Picard's a douche.
Yeah, but by that point, Picard had been a captain. I mean, we don't know his past as much. And was he a dick because he was like just a new crew, or was he a dick because that's what he was? I'm not sure.
But he was also a dick because children were on the ship, which he felt there was no reason there should be. Which I completely agree with him on. But what can you do? But there's no children on Enterprise, so there you go. So maybe that's why.
Not only in the alternate timeline.
But the real question, as I said, which is what we were going to ask you, Kevin, and obviously you've answered that, is was it worth the run? Obviously it was, so that's great. So I'm glad you experienced it with us. I enjoyed our time. I enjoyed all my time with you guys. Fun. So it was a lot of fun to do, and I'm sure we're going to do other things in the future for sure. But
like on Monday.
Yeah, well, I might not be there. I will tell you, I completely dislike the first 2 episodes of this season.
Okay.
Of DS9, I think both those episodes are terrible. So, I probably won't jump in. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the show. So,
I might not like them either. We'll see. So I haven't
Well, you've
watched
seen
them
it
yet.
before, Dave.
So, but yeah, but watch out. We have a new title intro next week for Deep Space Nine, featuring music by the Plain Simple Tailors.
The Plain Simple Tailors. They
Yeah,
make some good
so
music.
All right.
look out
Are
for
we
that.
doing 8 o'clock, Dave?
Yeah, let's keep the time slot,
Yeah,
which you know, we'll hopefully keep it going. I'll let like Jaemeel and Jeff and them know too, but obviously we're gonna keep this thing moving, like we've been doing on Monday nights. So, and go from there. And do you want me to play you out on a clip here for the end?
Well, you still have to plug your other shows, Dave.
Oh yeah. Before we get it, and I want to thank you, Jody, for hosting all these episodes, and 90
Adam, of course, as
something
well.
episodes, and Adam and Kevin and all. It's always.
I also like to thank. I would also like to thank Adam's audio hardware. I find it's created a lot of laughs for us over the last couple of years. I like the fact that it adds a 10-second delay to Adam sometimes for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it just
think that's
aggravates the shit out of me.
I
Listen,
know, and it's fun to watch. You're just like, you get so, and the viewers obviously can't see it because we take you off when you're like freaking out, right? But we have preview windows of everybody when they're not being shown to the public, and we can see you being very frustrated. And I will say, I did enjoy it at times.
Thanks,
So,
Jody. Thanks, Jody. I appreciate that.
we are big supporters of you. though,
Actually,
Adam.
I have mine in full screen, so I don't see the little preview windows.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so
I
it,
keep it so
and
I can see the
actually,
comments, yeah.
my impression is always a defeated Adam at the end. He's always like,
Yes, because we always see him like this,
and then he just disappears.
and then he disappears, and then he comes back, and he's like, "Can you hear me?" Okay. we're good.
Sometimes he's on. Sometimes there's two of them. I'll see one of them on his phone, and then there's like the frozen
So
one.
If Adam's lovely wife happens to see this, the man needs a new computer stat.
Yeah, Christmas time is coming.
Christmas
That's right.
time is a coming.
Black Friday sales are abundance.
That's
let's do
right.
it.
So maybe
Cyber
something will be
Monday
in your future.
Yep.
So, but and of course, Dave, thank you very much for
Thanks, Dave.
all your hard work.
Thanks, guys.
Dave, a lot of people don't realize, but Dave did the screenshots for almost all of the episodes. He took it upon himself and did a lot of them. So, thank you for that, Dave. That's a lot of extra time. That
Thank
takes
you.
quite a lot. And of course, our ratings tracking, you kept all that as well. So
Yeah, that's simple.
you're the premium producer.
I'm good with
so-
I'm good with spreadsheets, as Davan would let you.
You know what? You are a fan. You are the spreadsheet guy for sure.
Yeah.
Like if I need help on a spreadsheet, I'm going to you for sure. But overall, great. I really enjoyed my time with you guys. I always look forward to it. So
I'm
I
glad
look
we did
forward to
this, and
working with you guys for some other stuff.
And
So,
I'm excited to finish this Deep Space Nine one now, and then eventually we're moving on to Next Generation, which is going to be really fun. So,
oh, and Norman also wants to make sure we know that Dave is the
soundboard
master.
master. Thank you.
I
it's
think
always
maybe
fun.
you got to play us out on 20 years.
20 years.
We should have made an audio mix with the Plain Simple Tailors in 20 years. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
We could have played it out.
I'm trying to pick what Archer clip to play. I have a few here, but okay. So, but just to plug the shows,
plug them
we just
first, and then
we finished up our Lower Decks coverage a
this
short
season,
time
yeah.
ago. Looks like we're going to be talking about Prodigy sometime in the near future. I don't know exactly when season 2 is going to get released, but we are going to talk about that here. And as we mentioned, Discovery is supposed to be coming back for its final season in 2024, and so I'll be on here with Adam Woodward and hopefully Michael Chan to talk about all that. And then we hope you'll rejoin us for Deep Space Nine. Also check out all the other little podcasts. Hopefully we're going to do a radio theater in the near future now that we've wrapped up these shows.
I would look forward to doing a couple of those actually.
Yeah, well, we always do one in Christmas.
They're always a fun time. They're always a
as
fun
well.
time.
Okay, so I got I don't know which
Actually, one more thing, Dave, just before you go. I want to thank the people that viewed all the time. We had a lot of people that were always here for the lives. Obviously, Sam being one of them. Norman, of course, as well. And of course, Worldmind. Davan, of course, introduced a lot of stuff to us as well. So, thank you guys. Like, we did this. To be quite honest, we did this for us. We're very selfish. We did this for us, but you know what? It was great to show.
Best part of Mondays.
It was. You know what? Mondays suck, but this
It
was
was
the
great
thing
to
that
allow all of you to watch us have fun.
That's right. There you go. And we got a kick out of a lot of your comments. Your comments were always fun, and I think for the most part we got a lot of good support from people, and it was so we thank you for that. And join us for all the other stuff, because it's not like this is the end of content, Dave.
No, there's always more
this is just
content.
the end of this series.
Check out our sister channels under the United Federation of podcasts, shows like Eamon on Track, where my son Eamon talks about music albums, the Hold Up podcast, where Davan and Murphy argue about movies mostly. In a theme.
And tell Dave that he's wrong.
Yeah, you got X-Rated, the X-Men, the animated review show with Davan and André. They've done a lot of interviews and episode recaps, and they're going to be talking about like the new things, or I think they're talking about the '90s movies next, like including Gen X and different things. Graphic Histories podcast with André Myette, great interviewer, great audio, a one-on-one podcast, and the Super Mater Brothers podcast. I Am Free. Can you believe it? We just wrapped up Big Brother 25. I still got
This is
Survivor
like a vacation for you, Dave.
I got like Survivor for another 5 weeks, but who cares? That's easy. So
It's the Big Brother that generally hurts you the
it was
most, right?
100 days. We covered 100 days season, mostly just Jaemeel and I. And
Wow.
it was something. So
So Norman just made a quick comment. This was for Kevin, wasn't it? Basically, and
me,
yeah.
I was also like,
Yeah.
me and Kevin were like, this show sucks and we hate it. And then
and Adam and I were both like, "You guys suck, man. You got to
Right.
watch it at least." So
yeah. So we
but I'm
changed
glad.
up.
I'm glad you guys joined us, and I'm really glad that we did it. And I think I learned a lot about this show just from watching it again. Like it wasn't my first run through, but there was episodes I even missed. Yeah. So
Okay.
well, Dave.
Okay, well,
it's time
well-
to end this voyage.
all right. Well, 20 years one more time. And
20 years?
oh no,
20 years, Trip.
Yeah, on the catwalk, yeah, I do my little turn on the catwalk.
I have no idea why we're playing that, but it's still fun.
that was accidental, but I decided not to stop it.
So much for that comment earlier about you being the soundboard master.
Yeah, there you go. But here's the one we'll go out on. I hope it's good. All right, see you next time, everybody.
You asked a lot of interesting questions. I wish we had time to answer all of them, but if we did that, we wouldn't get much exploring done.
It's true.
Oh my God, I can't believe that's what you chose.
That's an amazing one.